Yeah, like Evan said, my name is Jason Morris, and I'm the influence that I picked is Harry Crews. He's a novelist, and I'm not. I'm a poet. So already there's a little bit of a gap there, as far as seeing the world as a bunch of stories and plots, and maybe not quite seeing it as such. Nonetheless, Harry Crews had a great big effect on me, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Thrilled that Evan asked me, and the Emerald Tablet is hosting. So I've got a short thing that I'm going to read, just sort of on Harry Crews. This is part of it is coming off of a YouTube video. It's real easy to locate if you just punch in Harry Crews' name on YouTube. You'll find it. Anyway, guilty as charged, Harry Crews asserts, just generally. He says, I've been around the block so many times, whatever the charge, I'm guilty. It's a good position to be in if you're a writer. And no coincidence, I think, that he peoples his novels with freaks, imbeciles, those who can't control their impulses, the guilty, or, more to the point, those upon whom that judgment has always already been pronounced. It's one of Hawthorne's major interests, too, distinctly American. The great socialist organizer Eugene V. Debs famously said, Your Honor, years ago I recognized my kinship with all living beings, and I made up my mind that I was not one bit better than the meanest on earth. I said then, and I say now, that while there is a lower class, I'm in it. While there is a criminal element, I'm of it. And while there is a soul in prison, I'm not free. Harry Crews' protagonists, not the right word, include a man who can knock himself out, a midget with stumps for legs who walks on his hands, and a man, as Evan described, who eats a car. Like Hawthorne, his works are often allegorical. A form of brain-dead justice has already foreclosed on the characters. We encounter them as they're already clawing out of one or another trap. They're all individuals, but on another level, they're all him, insofar as he writes them into being. Here's the thing. Their aesthetic disguises he accepts with the utmost respect. Masks won and worn as conditions of possibility for an ethic like the one voiced by Debs. Guilty as charged. Ralph Eugene Meatyard, the great photographer who was also an optician, that was his day job. By the way, I like thinking that he optimized everyone's vision. The subjects of his photographs famously wear masks, and there's some good mask photographs around here. There's one over the air duct of a guy in a buffalo mask that I dug. In an interview, he responds to the question, why the masks, by saying, the idea of a person, a photograph, say, of a young girl with the title Rose Taylor, or the title Rose, or no title at all becomes an entirely different thing. Rose Taylor is a specific person, whether you know her or not. Rose is more generalized and could be one of many roses, many people. No title could be anybody. In the same way, he continues, a mask serves as non-personalizing a person. One of his models, Mary Brannon Johnson, said he felt like everyone was connected, and when you use the mask, you take away the differences. In one fluid, wooded, black and white photo after another, everyone's equal, and everyone's equally freakish. Deanne Arbus, another of my favorites, also photographed subjects wearing masks. Like Crews, many of Arbus's most memorable images are lifted from the sideshow, the loony bin, the gutter. These individuals all are shown in all their blazing and fearsome righteousness. The late portraits confer a regal elegance, a nearly invincible strength on these people. The images truly honor them. By the same token, the buried anxiety and hidden deformities of certain of our more wealthy suburban subjects are revealed. The blank walls of ritzy galleries, the boredom and artifice of a Long Island lawn, the forced smiles in sweaty ballrooms. The dignity of the developmentally disabled people pictured in the Untitled series seems to me inviolable. For that matter, all the small-time hustlers, drag queens, working-class Joes, and carnival freaks she photographs are accorded a kind of emphatic humanity. The pictures nearly overflow with their spirit. Shakespeare's play Cymbeline takes as one of its major themes the idiom, now fallen out of use but current in Shakespeare's time, all have one dust. The high and low-born meet without knowing it, disguised as one another. It's a simple formulation for a bright complex of attitudes, summed up for me variously in Meatyard's masks, the freaks that populate Harry Crews's fiction, and Diane Arbus's photographs. It's an ethical position I try hard to live by, something like what Eugene Debs said upon being convicted of sedition. I mainly fail. But exercised like a muscle when working on a poem, this position is highly useful as a way of allowing it all in. I first read Harry Crews in my early 20s. I was a young poet working at a bookshop in Santa Cruz. When everybody else rode their bikes to the beach, I sat on the side steps of the Red House near the flats and read all the books I surreptitiously marked down and reliably spent my paychecks on. I didn't know what I should do, so I read everything. I binge read Harry Crews and he stayed with me. I drank in Feast of Snakes, Celebration, and a lot of the rest of them, along with Cold High Lifes in the Sun. He taught me an important lesson if you're trying to write poems. It all has to go in there. You have to suspend judgment even as you deploy it in the act of writing. All have one dust, whether it's car accidents, sex, wildflowers, or decapitation. All worldly phenomena have a place in the poem, and you must suspend judgment even when it's acutely felt, especially at its most acute. All of it ought to be at work in the work, permitted and permitted. So I have two poems out of this, or one or two poems out of this little book that just came out, Bird and Beckett, to prove that, I didn't just write some for the occasion. This one's, I'll just read this one. This is called Raw Umber. Raw umber, free of, not free to, not wanting something for no reason. Remember to take it easy, whatever the cost. Oh, honey, you can fight two fronts. Do it with marmalade. Man-made vices made you pale and nervous as a ghost. In rebelling against these two certain masters, you see how ugly they are. They hold you down, your neck with war. They never were real friends. So take it easy, whatever the cost. Get away and go outside. Out. Here's where there's not that. More the accidents of egality. Look, tiny orange, butterflies crown clover. Bees inspect every angle for the nectar. There are little jeweler's loops, eyeing the clover's coronas, starbursts. It is these animals to whom I owe a debt of gratitude larger than poetry. And then a poem that I wrote coming off of Harry Crews called Florida in the Pleistocene. Biggest snake-done god ever since every man thinks he's Christ. He had the name of being loved, tall, blonde high school bodies offered up as tackling dummies. Crocodiles, tiny prehistoric horses, and dire wolves, gone to howling. A hard man, son, making shiny suitcases of Corvettes, a brand new 1970 Cadillac in the sling, with great untender satisfaction supplanted. First evidence of a fin appearing in a time-lapse evolution of the Cadillac. Said nothing, showed nothing, and there was nothing strange in that. He hadn't asked where it came from. He never did. The mood shifted like a load on a truck might shift. Familiar, awful, empty of eyes, everything eating everything else. Cherokee rose, tiger swallowtail, and a black bag of Planters peanuts. Back pocket of Levi's cutoffs. Things rot faster in a warming world, and rot speeds warmth. He drew butterflies and listened, and kitty wells and little thrushes, robins with the occasional fighter jet, in a junkyard done up to look like the circus. Florida in the Pleistocene, short-faced bears, 3-foot-long dragonflies. As a dreamed of symmetry collides in slow motion with its rough material, a crane in the sun, hoisting objects from the wreck. Watch them drop down into this little wrecking yard. Thank you.